Hello, and welcome to Aviation No Tie Downs. This is where we bring you interesting stories of our shared passions for the people, the business, and the adventure of aviation. Welcome to this episode of Aviation No Tie Downs. You are going to love this episode and the guest we have today. This is Fitzgerald. He is one of the Red Bull helicopter aerobatic pilots. We're here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. He's getting ready to go out and perform in just a half hour or so. But he said he spent a few minutes with Lightspeed, his friends, and we're delighted that you did. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, and as it is you too. You know, we're big fans of your flying, but also just, you know, the way you're such a great ambassador for aviation, and it's really, really wonderful. And at Oshkosh here, you can hear some of the airplanes in the background, and we're having a lot of fun. It's been a really great week, and yeah, well, obviously, I mean, you're doing this amazing kind of helicopter flying. Very few people in the world can do it, but you didn't go from, okay, I got my private to now I'm flying for Red Bull. So, what were some of the progressions in between there?
So in my case, when I first got rated up, I started in news helicopters. So I was working in Santa Monica Airport as I was going through flight school and all that, and then I noticed that there was a news helicopter on the airport that flew more than any of the other helicopters combined. They were constantly going in and out. So like a magnet, I was kind of drawn to that program. And it took me a while to finally convince them to hire me, but they did, and that's how I started. So I started out flying a news helicopter, and in that capacity is how I was introduced to cameras, flying cameras, and that led to aerial production. So I did a lot of film and television work over the years as well, as I kind of progressed and built time and experience. And along that path, I had a few parallel paths too. I flew utility building power lines in the mountains for about 8 or 9 years, and that was a lot of fun too. That's very rewarding flying. Some of the best flying I've ever seen are people flying utility helicopters in the mountain.
Wow.
It's been amazing. And like I said, I was able to do production the whole way through, so I still do as much film and television work as I can, because it's fun and it's rewarding. I really like it. I like the creativity of it. And it was in that capacity that I met Red Bull. So I was working for them, filming some of their events, and then they knew me when they needed a new aerobatic pilot, and that's how it happened.
A little bit of the right place at the right time.
A whole lot of that, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the Red Bull fleet that's here.
Well, this is a pretty unique experience because we have a lot of Red Bull aircraft that aren't normally around here at the show. So we have the helicopter, of course, and we have Kirby Chambliss here in his Edge 540, and we have Kevin Coleman in his Extra 300. So both of our airplane aerobatic performers are here, which is cool to have them both at the same show. But additionally, we have the Carbon Cub that was flown by Luke Chappella. He landed on a helipad in Dubai on the Burj Al Arab. That airplane is here, as is Luke. So that's a cool thing for people to see. And then there's another Red Bull branded aircraft. It's a Pilatus Porter on floats that's operated by, I think it's Black Moose Outfitters. It's a brand new venture with Red Bull Adventure, which is a new travel division of Red Bull. And so that airplane is here too. So this is, to have that many Red Bull branded aircraft in one spot is really unique in the States.
Awesome, yeah, so the Flying Bulls are here in mass.
Yes, but now our collection of planes here is much smaller than the one in our home base in Salzburg in Austria. Right. At Hangar 7, there's I think 35 aircraft there that are all Flying Bulls aircraft, and they're all just beautiful and pristine, and it's such an amazing collection, and Mr. Mateschitz built the collection. It's his private collection that he shares with the world, so we as the Flying Bulls get to go operate all those great aircraft and fly them around and let everybody see them and share Mr. Mateschitz's love for aviation with the entire world. And it's just a very unique, amazing program, and I'm thankful to be part of it.
I wanted to ask you, you know, so many of the people that watch this show are pilots, and one of the things that I have wondered about in the past is this morning there's been forecasts of on and off thunderstorms, and the weather's been kind of volatile, and you got a show today. And so how does that go down behind the scenes? So, you know, how do you just find out when the lineup is? Who's making weather decisions? Do you just hang around all day? Like, how did that work for you guys?
Well, the very first priority is getting the helicopter in out of the weather. So we're in this really nice hangar right now. Yeah. Now we found shelter, then we move out from there. So priority number one, get to shelter, make sure there's no lightning strikes anywhere near the helicopter. But operationally, what we do is we go into the pilot briefing every morning. In this case at Oshkosh, the show's a little later in the afternoon, so the briefing is at 11:30. And that's where the air boss gets with all the performers, and we set the schedule, and they give it to us on a piece of paper, and then we work through that schedule all day. And the way the weather can impact that is if, like for instance, this afternoon there are thunderstorms forecast, so that's going to interrupt the show at some point. And the way it's generally handled at an air show is you don't start moving acts all around, you just cancel acts during the inclement weather. So you run the risk of not flying at all, but then as soon as the weather moves out, then the show starts up right according to the time schedule. So they don't shift it around and move the whole schedule and all that. You just cancel the guys or the people who are scheduled to fly during that time.
Wow. Well, so you do this amazing routine, and I'm sure a lot of folks have seen this and stuff, but how do you develop a routine, or how do you change up a routine or freshen it up? Is it you? Is it a team? How does that work?
In my case, it's 100% me. So I had a lot of guidance. The people who trained me how to do this were Reiner Wilke and Blackie Schwartz, and they both gave me the same kind of directive, and that is, we're going to get all the maneuvers, we're going to teach you the whole display, everything we do, and it's up to you to come up with a routine that you like, a sequence that flows naturally and one that looks good for the crowd, but also one that allows you to maintain energy and airspeed in critical points during the show. So when you're transitioning from one maneuver to another, some maneuvers don't go well back to back and others do. So there's a lot of variables, but I tried to make a display sequence that's fun for me to fly, and it flows nicely and looks good from the ground, but also allows me to maintain or even build energy throughout the display sequence, which is pretty important, because the more energy you can maintain, the easier it is to hit the entry gate speeds and altitudes and things like that.
Well, I know it's super physically demanding to do aerobatics, and so how do you keep yourself in shape? How do you practice? How do you train? How do you handle all that?
It's demanding because, like right now, it's 90 degrees in this hangar. We're both getting warm, and it's the same in the cockpit. So you have all the sun shining in there, and it's very warm inside the helicopter. So for that reason, I like to stay in good physical condition. I do a lot of cardio. I run stairs and do, I exercise almost every day. I do something just so that I'm used to being, high, elevated heart rate, elevated body core temperature. That feels normal because I work out every day. So in that sense, then you're set, you're ready to go, right? So when you're sweating and your heart rate's up during the show, that feels normal. That's not a new thing to your body. You don't start getting dizzy and out of breath and that because you're used to it. So physical condition is very important. But then for practicing, I try to fly something every day, and I try to fly this helicopter as often as I can, which doesn't turn out to be every day, but that's the goal. I try to go up at least, once a day and go do aerobatics just so that I stay sharp, so that maneuvers stay crisp, so that I'm able to maintain good energy and just keep you physically, keep your G tolerance up and be ready to go physically all the time.
Right.
Because you can feel it if you don't do it for a while. If I go 2 weeks without flying, you get back in the cockpit and you can feel the difference for sure.
Well, interesting. You can that quickly. Yeah. People make their own luck, right? And so what advice would you have for young people that are watching this, maybe that are thinking, yeah, I want to do that, or I want to get into helicopters, or I'd like to be an air show performer? What would you suggest for them?
The basic foundation I always say to young pilots or young people in general is just work harder and be nicer than everybody else. Come to work with a good attitude, be prepared, be on time, be a better employee, and that'll make you a better pilot. Know your aircraft and all. It all falls under work harder and be nicer. So just preparation and good attitude.
Well, you live both of those. I think if people were to take a survey on the field here of people that know you, they would say he is the nicest guy we've ever met. So
he's like a big dumb puppy, just walks around smiling all the time.
Words out of your mouth. But certainly work hard and be nice is our good tips, and you live that every day. Well, we've got your Red Bull heated up helmet.
Oh yeah.
And why don't we talk a little bit about, sometimes you wear a helmet, sometimes you wear a headset. Obviously we've been friends for a long time, but how do you choose what goes into that decision?
So it just kind of depends on the job at hand that day. So when I'm flying the decathlon, I wear a headset. So I wear the Zulu in that. I like having the super quiet, clear comms is nice, and I do like to listen to music when I fly. So the Zulu with Bluetooth is perfect for that. And then if I'm flying utility or I do a little firefighting too, sometimes I get to fly Blackhawks and I fly 500s for various reasons. And always I wear a helmet when I'm flying a 500 because it's so small. I always hit my head, so I switch to a helmet for that. And then of course when I'm flying the Red Bull helicopter, I wear my Red Bull branded helmet. And all of my helmets have the H-mod in them, so it's exactly like wearing a Zulu, only you have the protection of a helmet too. So the combination of the hard shell, which blocks a lot of sound, plus the H-mod in there, it's like I'm in my own quiet little world. It's amazing. So comfortable and so clear. I love it.
Great. Well, before we close, Can you tell us a little bit about what might be next in your future?
Well, I can tell you that we're planning some new big stunts with Red Bull, so stay tuned for that, because you've seen that we do some really big ones like plane swap and Luke Aikens jumping with no parachute, and Stratos where we did a supersonic skydive, and with Luke landing on the helipad. We have more of those stunts cooking up. We can't talk about them quite yet, but stay tuned for sure.
All right.
On a personal level, what's next for me is I want to continue flying this helicopter for as long as I can, because I just love it so much. So career-wise, I want to stay the course and keep doing what I love doing. And on a personal level, the immediate future is really exciting for me because I just bought a Stearman. So I'm gonna take delivery of it at the end of the show. I'm gonna go home and then go pick up the Stearman, and then my project is to learn how to fly a Stearman. So I'm gonna be a Stearman pilot, I hope.
Well, that's fantastic. So it's kind of, you get to begin all over again, right?
Yeah, fresh start. New aircraft, new type of flying. I'm really excited about it. And my sons are both chomping at the bit to fly that plane. So we're gonna have our own little warbird. The only one I can afford is a Stearman, so that's what I got. And I'm so happy.
It sounds like a great family affair.
Oh yeah.
So anything else you'd like to share?
I would just like to say how grateful and thankful I am that I get to do this. To fly for a living is such a gift, you know. I don't take any of it for granted, and then to do a job like this one where I get to share my love of this with everybody is just amazing. I just can't believe this happened to me, and every day I feel thankful, and I try to never, take 1 second of it for granted.
Oh, that's really wonderful. Well, thank you, Aaron. It was really fun talking to you today, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you for watching this episode of Aviation No Tie Downs. Now, let's go flying.